Why are there so many village houses in Hong Kong?
Land in Hong Kong is incredibly expensive and limited, leading most developers to build upwards for maximum return on investment. Yet, throughout Hong Kong's rural new territories, you'll find numerous small village houses,
just like these ones. Why is that?
The answer lies with a privileged minority of male Hong Kongers, known as the indigenous people of the new territories. These individuals are entitled to a once-in-a-lifetime grant to build a small house.
But why do they have this privilege? Here's why.
From the 1950s to the 1980s, Hong Kong experienced a significant influx of immigrants from mainland China, many fleeing the communist regime. As housing space became scarce on Hong Kong Island and Kowloon, the British colonial government sought to develop new towns in the largely rural new territories. The village clans residing there were recognised as the indigenous people of Hong Kong. They had lived in the area long before the British arrival and the subsequent migration waves, with some tracing their heritage back to the Qing dynasty. These clans resented British occupation, even engaging in a brief conflict with the British when they occupied the new territories after signing the lease with China in 1898.
So, to keep these village clans on their side and prevent further discontentment, the British government struck a deal with them.
They would develop new towns like Tai Po, Sha Tin and Yuen Long on the land of these clans in the new territories, and in return, all indigenous males and their male descendants would have the right to build a village house, measuring 700 square feet per floor, with 3 stories and a height of 25 feet. This privilege was limited to males, reflecting the traditional village customs of the time. The British referred to this arrangement as the small house policy, also known as Ding Ok in Cantonese, which literally translates to male house. The small house policy aimed to recognise the traditional rights of indigenous inhabitants to build small houses on their ancestral lands, respecting local customs and land usage.
Enacted in 1972, it has remained intact even after Britain handed Hong Kong back to China in 1997.
The policy is contentious, as it restricts the small house grant to a small minority of the population, just a fraction of Hong Kong's 7.5 million residents. Many indigenous villagers, whom the policy was intended to benefit, sell their rights to developers, which is illegal. Village houses themselves are often seen as inefficient use of valuable land, especially when most of Hong Kong's population lives in small apartments in high-rise buildings. Furthermore, the policy only applies to male villagers, excluding women from benefiting. This has been criticised as a form of gender discrimination. However, the policy remains in place due to the significant political influence of the villagers, who have their own rural committees represented in Hong Kong's Legislative Council. They also have voting power in selecting Hong Kong's chief executive, and the basic law, Hong Kong's constitution, protects their rights.
As a result, no Hong Kong government has attempted to repeal this policy despite its perceived unfairness. Interestingly, many British-born Chinese, including myself, are descendants of these villagers.
A large number of indigenous inhabitants immigrated to the UK from the 1950s to the 1980s to establish Chinese takeaways and restaurants across various cities, towns and villages. With the wealth they acquired from their businesses, many have returned to Hong Kong to take advantage of the small house policy and build their own village houses.
If you're interested in learning more about the intricacies of the small house policy, I've pinned a comment below with additional links.